All right, young scholars, this is Info 3205, date 212, our last week focusing on Adobe Illustrator. And this week we are going to be working with creating 3D objects. As usual, you have additional YouTube links to watch and look through in the inf essentially doing the same thing that I will be covering, but a little more advanced, in depth. You are welcome to look through them as you so choose. So if you were to download the creating 3D object zip file and extract it, you'll notice that you will be provided with simple information on creating 3D objects. You can navigate and look through that as you so choose. But again, we are going to simply talk and look through basics associated with doing this. So we open Adobe Illustrator, we select New File. Again, we're going to select Letter and Create. So in order for us to create new 3D objects, we need to first create a shape. So we go to the Window tab, and then we select 3D and Materials. But you'll notice here we have Plane, Extrude, Revolve, Inflate, but nothing happened. It's because we need to create a shape first. So let's say we use our shape builder tool. Well, notice we can't because we have not created any lines to create shapes with. So we can go back and use our pen tool. And let's say we use it to create this object here. We can use our width tool to expand it and make this weird looking shape here. We can then use our 3D effects to make that plane. Or inflate it, revolve, which gives it a nice weird looking shape here. So we've now created that weird looking thing from a random couple of lines into a specific, what kind of looks like a top hat, a baker's hat. And we could continue to do this. Pen tool, randomly utilize it to create a shape. Go and select our shape builder tool. And then we can use our 3D. So we inflate that. Now it's looked a little bigger. We can select the fill and decide to make the inflate be right. You'll see how it turned over there. Top left, you see how it went up there. Diffuse means all the way around. Standard, up at the top, within the lighting settings. If we decide to change it to revolve, it now changes the entire shape completely. If we do extrude, We could do plain. Makes it much easier to fill in our new shape. Additionally, we have our rectangle tool we used the first week, which we can add a rectangle to. And let's say we want to extrude that. We select, and it looks much better than our other weird objects we created with the pen tool. That's perfectly fine. Let's create another rectangle. We use the plane. It slightly turns it to the left so we can see the entire plane, if you will. We create another rectangle down the bottom here. We do revolve, and it completely changes the shape to kind of a hockey puck shape, just like it did when we had our weirder shape that it made into a baker's hat. And again, you could go into materials and graphics here. And let's say we want this graphic. Continue to make rectangles. And we can continue to change all of these different features associated with them. Additionally, what is called opacity, may be pronounced differently by different people, is basically how you can use an image on different backgrounds. So most people will use PNGs on websites because they're easily applied to a background. They're more opaque. Whereas a JPEG, you have to play around with the opacity based on the color of the background. Now, obviously, everything's going to look pretty good on a white background, so it's not that big a deal. Now, for homework this week, the first homework you have for the course, the Illustrator homework, you're being asked to use Adobe Illustrator to create a drawing of yourself. It can just be a face with your name as text above or below your drawing. You can use 3D objects or the pen tool for your drawing. You'll be assessed on the following: 5 points for name and text, taught you how to use the text tool the first meeting associated with this Illustrator, 5 points for the drawing itself, 20 points for appearance. It should be colorful and easily viewed, 20 points for using coarse materials such as the curvature tool. So let's go ahead and show you how easy that can be. So we file new, create a new letter. And let's say we use the rectangle tool. If we then revolve that rectangle tool, we now have this hockey puck-like shape here that you can then use the paintbrush tool. Let's say you have a stroke. And draw up, turn the fill red. Okay. So paintbrush tool, since it turned our little circle red. We can do a random face here. You can use the curvature tool to create eyelashes as you so choose. It may not look great, but again, we're just looking for basics here. You can go back to the paintbrush tool and create a random nose. Then you could put the text below if you so choose. I'll use our good young scholar, Dylan Hoppy, who's been in multiple classes with us so far. And we put his name down the bottom there. So it doesn't have to be anything too advanced. Just use the tools that you've been taught over the 3 weeks to create basically a face, a whole person, whatever you decide to choose, as long as there's some color involved and you're using the paintbrush tool, the text tool, the curvature tool, the pen tool. You could even use the gradient tool if you so choose. You could use the width tool to make your lines bigger, to make your shape, etc. You could use the window, 3D, and materials, as I've shown you, to create a basic face or a person, and then just type your name below or above. And that's all we intend to do for the Illustrator for this week.